Can we talk something else? Can we talk about something else?
Hello, listeners of True Crime Guys. This is Jack Luna, host of the True Crime podcast Dark Topic. I'd just like to personally invite you to come on over and check my show out. I'm a fan of the guys, and they listen to Dark Topic during their downtime on occasion, apparently, so we thought, hey, why not share the love a little, cross-pollinate, procure some quick to perish petunias for you to hold or something like that. Dark Topic is a haphazardly polished podcast that sifts through the pages of humanity's dark history and spins out a fresh take on cases that many will be familiar with, though I do my best to dig up those memories of which have been repressed for the most part in society's psyche. I'd suggest you start with one of my more recent episodes to see if this is for you. Chikatilo, the Red Ripper, will tell you all you need to know. I hope to talk at you soon. Stay paranoid. Keep creeping.
Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
How's everybody doing on this? Well, we're recording it on Friday the 13th, but
Yeah.
I don't know what day it is when you guys listen. But
Maybe you didn't make it, so maybe you're not listening.
yeah, if you didn't make
That
it through
sucks.
Friday the 13th, then rest in peace.
Did you at least get your tattoo off a flash sheet?
Right. Little 13 going down a ladder
Right.
for $13 tattoo.
A little shitty Jason mask with a 13 over to the side.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah. So
I'm
we're,
sorry if you got that tattoo. I don't mean to offend you. Like, it's cool. It's fine. It's very
I
ironic.
love shitty tattoos. It's all
Yeah.
good. I have Deadpool with a freaking top hat on my back.
like it's an Irish top hat, right?
No, it's an Irish like red beard and then like a green Irish top hat. Yeah. I lost a bet, but I'm a man of my word.
Hey, that's all that matters.
Right. So yeah, we're coming off of. It seems like a week off if you're one of the freeloaders,
But it's not.
but if you're a patron, you got to hear Billy the Kid, a 2-hour episode on
Yeah.
Billy the Kid last week. We had a lot of fun recording that one.
we did. We put in work.
We put in a lot of work. Michael made another badass
Put
intro.
in work.
Michael made another badass intro, and people loved it. We got some of the most feedback we've gotten in a while.
Yeah,
for
I was
that
really
Billy the Kid episode.
surprised.
A lot of people that said I was skeptical when I saw
Right,
you released it. I was not into that time period or whatever, and
Yeah.
still loved it. So yeah, pretty awesome.
I had my reservations about the case, but I really enjoyed the book.
Oh yeah, the Kid.
Yeah, the kid.
Anyways, we'll stop plugging that.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to that, go to patreon.com/truecrimeguys. We have that and a lot of other episodes for $2, and most of the big hitters like Gacy and Dahmer and
Yeah.
even like Ruby Ridge and just like random stuff like Stanley Tookie
Yep.
Williams from the Crips and
Yeah, it's a pretty good collection over there.
right.
We have fun. Jim Jones.
Jim Jones in Jonestown, 3 hours on that.
But yeah, $2 a month, and there's all kinds of other special content and shit on there.
And you get in on the giveaway once a month.
Oh yeah, that's coming up.
Yep. So yeah, go check that out. Otherwise, enjoy this free episode. This is a suggestion from Michelle K. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a very good one.
Very good one. Yeah. So let's dive into it before we give it away.
All right.
Jessica's body was found beaten and strangled miles away from her home more than 2 weeks after she disappeared in September of 1999.
All right, our case this week was the murder of Jessica Dishon, or Dishon.
I think it's Dishon.
It's not Dishon.
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 Yeah, it probably started out
Kentucky.
Dishon because
There's no little asterisk over the Dishon.
No, it's not Dishon. It probably started out that way. It's probably French or something.
Yeah. Now it's Dishon.
Dishon.
Dishon from Kentucky.
We ain't got time for that Dishon.
I don't think we've ever done an episode where the study, like the main portion of it, was in Kentucky. I mean, maybe we may have stopped off in a few episodes. You know, people making their way across.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think we've done a Kentucky-based episode before.
I don't think we have.
And this county and this town specifically, I know we haven't.
No.
Small town in Kentucky.
Shepherdsville
in Bullitt County.
Bullitt County, yeah.
Bullitt County, Kentucky.
You know, Kentucky is is second in number of counties, only to Texas.
Really?
Yes.
Texas is huge.
And Texas is huge.
That says something about how many counties they have per
They like to divide
mile.
shit up. Like, the counties are so small that people basically just say that they're from the county instead of the town. Like, nobody would say, like, somebody's from Shepherdsville, they wouldn't say they're from Shepherdsville. They just say Bullitt County because the county is already so small.
Right. Yeah, well, the town of Shepherdsville actually even in 2010, it only had 11,200 people population. So it's a small town in Kentucky. You were telling me a little bit about it because you were a little closer before when you lived in North Carolina. And you were saying that it's like one of those places that's real slow. You've been through Kentucky.
There are areas of it that you feel like you're going back in time.
Yeah, like they just haven't progressed as much. Like you said, a lot of people don't even have cell phones or.
Yeah.
So if you're one of them, you're probably not listening to this episode.
You can probably listen to it anyway. We're not talking smack.
Not everybody in Kentucky. If you're listening in Kentucky right now.
There's something to be said about that life, though. I mean, there's something to be said about people that are happy. And there is a happiness in that. Like being disconnected, not having to worry about all these likes and shares.
My wife and I think when we retire, we're probably going to do one of these tiny house things.
Yeah.
It's real popular right now.
I think I'm getting an RV.
I think that's the way to live, man. I think it's...
I want to be on wheels.
Dude.
No, yeah, for sure.
This property we bought, we spend like a good portion of our weekends pulling weeds. Like, is that how you want to live your life? Like, just trying to keep up with your fucking property,
right.
Or keep up with your large house.
After you're already giving up so much time at work,
right?
In the week, it's like I want to maximize my living.
Do I want to vacuum my 5,000 square foot home, or I just want to live in a tiny home and shoot my bow and arrow by day and play with my kid or whatever.
I'm telling you, dude, that's what it's about.
Right. We need to do that. We just need to quit podcasting.
It's about doing...
Or we could do our podcast out of our tiny house. Like we could have like a little outdoor studio. You guys might hear some birds chirping.
Podcasting. That's like one of the things that I want to do. So my goal in life is to do what I want to do as often as possible.
This is what we'll do.
It sounds so simple.
We'll get like a half-acre property. We'll put 2 tiny houses on the property. One's the studio. One's our little tiny house to live and sleep in.
It's perfect.
Yeah, we'll have like
I'll just park my RV in your yard.
We'll have a little brick path that goes to the studio from the tiny house.
Perfect.
Yeah. TCG Studios.
Let's do it. And we won't even do it on social media. We'll just release episodes all willy-nilly and we won't have any connection with anybody.
Right.
Who knows what we'll do?
Yeah. We really got sidetracked here.
A little bit. A little bit.
Okay, so we started by talking about Shepherdsville, Kentucky, Bullitt County, and a family called the Dishons.
The Dishons.
Okay, the Dishons.
All right.
The Dishon family consisted of the father, Mike Dishon, his wife, Edna, which was the mom of 3 children, being Jessica, the oldest daughter. She had Jessica, did Edna when she was like 17, right? She had her real young, so it was like their baby. Right. And Jessica, at the time that this story happened, she was 17, correct?
Yep.
1999.
1999.
She had 2 younger brothers, Michael and Christopher. Michael went by Bubby.
Yeah, I guess because that was easier than Michael Jr., maybe.
Right. Now, on the morning of September 10th, 1999, this was a morning like any other morning. It was a weekday. The father had work, the mother had work, and then all the kids had school. Jessica, however, was allowed to sleep in a little longer than the rest of the family because she was now driving.
Yeah, and I don't think she had to be at school as early as the boys did.
Right. School started, she usually left at 6:30 a.m. and everybody else was already gone by then. The father that morning had gone around before leaving work. You know, he kissed his wife, he went and checked on the 2 boys, told them to get up for school. Right. He then went into Jessica's room and saw that she was still sleeping, which was a pretty normal occurrence because, like we said, they let her sleep in a little bit since she didn't have to be at school and she could drive herself.
Right.
And so, morning like any other morning. Now, the mother, Edna, would get home earlier than the father. So she comes home, what was it, like just a few hours later, like 10:30 a.m.?
Yeah, it had to have been like in the middle of the school day. Right. Because she had noticed that Jessica's car was still at home. Right.
She comes home and she finds that weird. She sees the car sitting outside, goes inside and finds that Jessica's not there. Goes back out and checks her car and finds some very interesting very weird and like must have been just very like she knew immediately something was wrong.
Right.
Because Jessica's cell phone was inside the car with 911 typed on it. One of her shoes were in there. Her purse was in there.
Right.
A lot of stuff that like she's not going to leave there.
No,
She's
no.
never going to leave her purse there. And the 911 is very telling.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things we used to study this, one of the major things we used to study, there was a Cold Case Files episode on this case.
Yeah, I think it's season 8, episode 1.
Very, very
Find it
well
online.
done. Very
Yeah.
well done. Our main source to study for this, and then also we used several articles that we had read just to confirm a lot of stuff we learned in the
Right. It's a very good. It's very thorough.
right.
It's very. I mean, there's a few extra things you can find online about some of the characters, but for the
You
most
could tell
part-
it's one of the newer ones, not like the old school Cold Case Files, because
Yeah.
it just didn't have as like it was much more well produced. I would say. Like, don't get me wrong, I love those old ones.
I agree. I watched it twice. It was good.
Yeah, no, it was very good. And then like we said, confirmed with a lot of different articles and such. But yeah, so the mother sees the 911 on the phone, and the documentary is like, we hear interviews from the parents, and she said basically she figured that she was trying to dial 911.
Yeah, it's a normal suggestion.
It's an easy conclusion to come to.
Yeah. It was funny. One of the articles I read left off the 1. Like it was one of the earlier articles, and it said that just 9 was on her phone. And it got me thinking that maybe the 1 was added during the case file thing for dramatic effect, or...
Well, what's the zip code?
That's what I was thinking. Like, is the area code start with 9? Because probably not, being that older part of the country. I bet it don't.
Yeah.
Area codes kind of tend to go down. Well, I don't know. It's kind of different because Las Vegas is 702, but Charlotte's 704.
I'm going to check
they're on
Kentucky
opposite
area
sides.
codes right now. We might have a lead in this case now.
Let's see what's going on.
Central Kentucky is 502.
Oh,
606 serves Eastern Kentucky, including Eastern Coalfield. 859, which serves the Lexington and Northern Kentucky.
okay. That's pretty close.
Yeah, 859. Yeah.
I don't think we're on to anything here. I don't think this helps. What do you think?
Maybe not.
No, I don't think so.
Because I mean, everything we read and in the documentary that said 9-1.
Yeah,
so,
that was the only article I saw that said 9, and I was like, man, I wonder why they didn't put the 1 in there.
Pretty
It's
sure if
really
you lived in-
bothering me, though.
I'm pretty sure if you lived in Kentucky, they would have mentioned about the fucking area code starting with a 9.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
If their area code was like 910, it's like, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Or 911 is their area code.
910. She's probably just calling her friend.
So mother is obviously immediately worried and concerned. It appears as though her daughter's been abducted. It's just she's not going to just walk away from home with one shoe and her no cell phone.
And her purse was in the car, too.
Purse, no purse. Like this is obviously an abduction. That's what her mother feels. So the police seem to feel a little bit differently. She calls her husband first, right? Mm-hmm. He comes home and they call the police and inform them of what was going on. Because at first when she calls her dad, he's like, well, when she said her car's still here, and he said, well, did you see if it's running? And then, that's when she went out there and saw like this situation.
Exactly. Yeah, she may have not have even looked in the car because the car was shut, door was shut, and everything was good to go. But because he was like, go out there and start it, see if it starts. And then when she opened the door, that's when she saw everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mike and Edna, they go down to the police station that evening and they report their daughter. It's what they appear as an abduction. They tell the police the details. The police are then telling them that she's a runaway, or it's possible she's a runaway. And the father's like, that's not.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, the father's like, there's no way she's a runaway. She wouldn't run away, like we said, with one shoe and without her phone and her purse and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Now, 99, what does a cell phone look like?
It looks like a brick.
Was it one of those big brick Nokias?
It's like one of those, yeah. That's what they portrayed it with, like in the documentary. When we saw it? That's what I imagined it was. You're probably playing Snake on it and shit.
My aunt rolled with one of those big gray brick freaking Nokias for 10 years
with the
after.
Pull-up. I like the pull-up
swear to
antenna
God,
with
she
the flip
finally
down.
got rid of it in like 2010. Because, she was paying like $2 a month for a cell phone bill.
Yeah. Dude, do you remember when car phones were first came out?
Yeah.
I mean, my uncle, he had like a Pontiac Bonneville with a car phone. I was fucking amazed by that.
Right. If you watch
Remember,
Seinfeld,
Brian?
there's episodes
keep picking
where
it up.
he's using the car phone.
Yeah,
Funny.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, they go down to the police station. The police are convinced that she's potentially a runaway and basically send them back home that night. And they are pissed. Obviously, Mike Dishon, the father, is he wants to get a militia together because the police aren't doing anything.
Right, yeah. He's ready to go to war about this.
Right. And so, like, they're kind of getting, like, a group of people together around town and trying to look around for her while they can. But that night, they can't do a whole lot.
Right.
And so the next day, the Dishons went back to the police station again to report her missing. Finally, 2 patrol officers, the 2 deputies they had, were sent out to the Dishon residence and search. They basically go up and search her car without gloves on.
Without gloves, they're just moving
start
shit
touching
around.
everything in there,
Yeah.
getting their fingerprints spread around. Anybody's that would have been in there is now
Right. Just
potentially
completely
contaminated,
soiling
and
all the
ruined.
evidence.
Yeah. I don't even know if you could use like what you found in there in court after they're rooting around. You got 2 deputies digging around in there and
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
It's
Who's
like-
to say they didn't put it in there or whatever?
Yeah. Now, Stanley Dishon, Jessica's uncle, organized a search team. He basically goes up to Mike and says, well, let's go look for him.
Yeah.
And one place he has in mind is a place that makes sense, a place called the River Bottoms, which is a really eerie like river that goes
Yeah.
through.
The forest is a little thicker down there too.
It is, yeah.
You
I've
know what I
seen
mean?
several
It's a little
videos.
darker. Yeah.
There's even YouTube videos of people going there in person.
Yeah.
And it's very eerie.
Oh, I bet. There's probably a lot of legends and myths about that area. And
Yeah. Now this place is so eerie, and with this situation with the abduction, the family I'm sure is very reluctant and very creeped out by the idea that that's where they're looking for their daughter.
Right.
It's
The
just,
whole
like,
town
so-
is kind of disturbed by this. Like they're not, like we said, everybody knew everybody. It's a small town. They don't even want to consider a murder.
Yeah.
Murder in the town like that's.
Yeah, so much so that even Stanley, the uncle, was even got sick while down there searching and was seen vomiting while looking for his niece.
I'm sure he wasn't the only one.
Yeah, that night, Jessica's brother. So they're basically they go down there. They don't find anything that evening.
Right.
And the family's back at the house trying to of course the father can't sleep.
Yeah.
You know, he's up doing dishes that night, and his son Chris, Jessica's brother, was taking out the trash.
This is such an eerie scene.
Something strange happens while he's out taking out the trash. He comes running back inside, yelling to his father that he heard his sister yelling, "Help me!"
See, that's just
while out there.
that's just so eerie.
Very eerie. Yeah, your sister's abducted, and then you go out to take out the trash, and you hear a woman screaming, "Help me!" or a
Right.
girl that sounds like your sister out there screaming, "Help me!"
Right. Do you think there was a small part of them that kind of just played that off, or what? I mean, what would you think? You think it because it's a
It was never
high-stress
explained.
situation?
There's one secret you'll get is that it's never explained why he heard that, or if it was real, or if he just heard it in his own head.
Yeah.
Very possible he could have heard a number of things, and that's what he heard because that was what was on his mind. Maybe it was
That's what I'm
some
thinking.
kind of an
man.
animal.
Just-
or
you're a little more sensitive to it because you want her to be in reach somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're a little more connected.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? It could have been a fucking dump truck in the distance. And
I got a theory about it, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay. I like that.
All right.
So yeah, so the father, upon hearing that, of course, he's in that mode too, and he's immediately worked up. His heart's racing. He runs, grabs his shotgun, and he's thinking. And he even said this. He's like, "I'm gonna kill whoever's. If I see somebody
Yep.
with my daughter, I'm gonna kill him."
They're dead.
He seemed like a great dad. Like I really
Yeah.
liked this father.
Yeah.
That's another point. He's not the killer. We'll just tell you that now because you knew it immediately. Like when you heard him interviewed, like if you were the police at the time, he was doing everything a father who had lost his daughter would do.
Oh,
like
of course.
The family was dead set on like doing everything in their power to find this girl.
Right.
I mean, so much so that we'll get into it, but they start really calling out the police station. The local sheriff and his 2 deputies for not doing enough. They're going on the local news and saying things like that.
And also, like you see this a lot in these families that lose a child, especially is their marriage started to suffer
Right.
because they were both so obsessed with this. I mean, we're not downplaying Edna's role in this. Like she was just as dead set on trying to find Jessica as Mike was, but
Right.
but their individual focuses on it and different opinions on different things. And I'm sure some heated shit came up about friends that they knew and people
Yeah.
in the town or whatever, and it just drives people apart, man.
Right. And so, yeah, the father goes running outside with the son, and they look around, and one thing they see, well, also, this is important to mention, they run outside, and right as they're running out the door to go find where the scream had come from, his brother, the uncle Stanley, comes pulling in the driveway and offers to go help find, whoever's doing this.
Yeah.
And something very strange is what they find. They have an
It's
adjacent.
like a burning barrel out in the woods, right?
There's an adjacent property to them, which is a neighbor that they really don't get along with too well. A guy named David Bucky Brooks
Right.
lived on a property next to them. Their property's kind of adjoined, and he was outside. There was a burning barrel of clothes that he's outside burning that night.
Yeah, very strange. And he's also acting suspicious at this time.
Bucky seemed like the kind of guy that might always act suspicious. He seemed.
But I mean,
We learned some things about him later.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I didn't really take him seriously at the beginning because I felt like, especially when they talked about feuding neighbors.
Yeah.
Because like out there where you don't live or see that many people, of course you're going to feud with the people that you see every single day. You know what I mean? Like your problems become pettier and pettier.
Yeah,
The
it's like the
less you,
Hatfield and McCoys.
the less you interact in like a city or like with a lot of people. I think and it's just human nature. It's just there's a certain aspect of humans that want a little bit of drama in their life.
Right.
And I feel like it gets pettier and pettier the more time you spend alone or around just the same people.
Yeah. Now, the father, Mike Dishon.
It's a long
No,
period.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm going to
Okay.
feed into your theory a little bit more.
Okay.
Mike Dishon, his initial suspicions were his neighbor,
Yeah, they
even
were.
before this. And so, I mean, they've been feuding and whatnot. And that guy would know the schedule of the family. He could watch it. He could observe it.
yeah.
Being a neighbor, he could know exactly when the parents were gone and the two younger brothers were gone, and when
Yep.
he could do this. And so, yeah, I mean, initially the father is already suspicious, and then that night they hear this. The son
hear
hears
the
this girl
scream.
screaming.
Yep.
They go out there, and this neighbor that you already suspected is out burning clothes. Like,
And he's extremely standoffish. He doesn't let Mike on the property.
yeah,
At all. He's
Mike
like,
asks
"No,
if
you
he could
can't."
search the property. He was
Yeah.
the only neighbor that said no to the search.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, all this stuff is just getting confirmed.
And at this point, I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but Mike can see that he's burning clothes at this point. Did
Yeah.
you? Okay.
And inside the barrel, he said that it was not only clothes, but he could smell decomposed body on them.
Yeah.
And so when the police did respond, he went back and called the police and told them what he had discovered.
Yeah.
And they would come out and look into it a little bit. They actually get permission to search Bucky's property.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the barrel, they found gloves that were being burned.
Right.
It was like black cotton gloves, like
Right.
perfect kind you would use for a crime, like bank robber gloves.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
And they had some of the like decomposing like
Smell on them?
Smell on them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody hunted then. Like you could be. Who's to say you didn't use them to deer hunt? I'm just playing devil.
Or he
devil's
finds a
advocate
dead
here.
raccoon on his property, or who knows?
Yeah.
Like he could have used them to move some kind of a dead animal, or
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, but of course, that's not how you're going to see it if
Or
you're
a-
in this situation.
Or a dead girl. Like,
Yes.
could be. So it could be either.
Dead animal, dead body.
Let's just keep our options open. It could be anything.
Something dead though is what
Yeah.
it sounds like.
We don't want to say what it really is
Right.
because that ruins the whole show.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the police search Bucky's with a cadaver dog. They
Yeah.
search the property. The dogs do respond to the barrel with the burning clothes in it.
Yeah, almost immediately.
Yes. But aside from that, they don't find anything.
Aside from the gloves.
Aside
Right.
from the gloves. Now, but this is more than enough for the police to have their suspicions as well. They immediately make him the prime suspect in a case where they really don't have any suspects.
Yeah, exactly.
They bring him in to the police station and start questioning him and find out that his story is not making much sense. Everything they ask him, he has an answer, but then the other answer he says about something else is contradictory.
Right.
His timeline doesn't make sense for that day. Nothing he says is making a lot of sense. However, the police have nothing to hold him on arrest for.
Right.
They had some stinky gloves in a barrel that they had found with a cadaver dog, but that could have been a dead animal. It could have been a number of things. And so they can't hold him without any more evidence. And it's starting to go cold in a sense.
But aren't cadaver dogs given a scent to go find? Isn't that the whole point? And then they went straight for the barrel.
Yeah, but I don't know if at this time, I mean, I don't know if a dog can tell the difference between human flesh or just decaying flesh. You know what I mean? It could, if it's an animal.
But I don't think they gave them,
these are a lot of hunters in this area. This could have been.
I don't think they had them smell her body. I think they just had them smell like an article of clothing or something.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So what proof do they have that this guy killed a person?
I think a dog.
Namely-
I think a dog would just be interested in rotting flesh, anyways. It's kind of not fair.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
It's like,
walk by with some meat
it's
in
like-
your pocket.
yeah,
you're
it's like
fucking
going to the grocery
going down for murder.
it's like going to the store for some celery, but then somebody's giving out ice cream samples. You're probably going to stop there.
Yeah.
Like just be like, it's ice cream samples. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it's how a dog views rotting flesh. It's like it's kind of like throw up. Got to get in it.
Yeah.
how
Or
dogs
its own
are.
feces.
Yeah, they like things like that.
Yeah. Now, the point I was trying to make, Michael,
Oh, sorry.
before that wonderful bag of
What
joy
the fuck
there,
that was.
was that they couldn't hold him for murder. I mean,
Right.
they couldn't arrest him for murder for what they had found. They didn't have much other than he didn't have a story that made much sense, and he had a weird barrel with some burning gloves that smelled
Right.
like flesh. They didn't have anything tying him directly to Jessica's disappearance. And so basically it was just like a family doesn't like him, and then these couple things. So there's a stall
and the
going
creepy
on.
phone calls.
And now, I mean, this is the part where they have their serious, strong suspicions. They need to go hit the ground and find some stuff. They need to find
Right.
some evidence somewhere. You know what I mean? Just
Somewhere. He knows something.
search his property harder. When just pound,
I agree.
get as many people as you can and search everything. But like we said, the sheriff had 2 deputies this time. He was later interviewed, and he was very upset about how much flack was being thrown his way at the time. He felt that
Right.
him and his 2 deputies, he said, were working diligently. They knew Jessica growing up. He was actually like teary-eyed talking about it.
Yeah, he
and
seemed
felt
like he was
terrible.
pretty genuine.
Yeah, he did. And like we said, they only had 2 deputies, so there was only so much they could do. And Mike Dishon, getting very, very frustrated at this point, decides he's going to go beyond this Podunk Town's police department
Right.
and calls in the FBI. He actually calls the FBI, and when I heard that, I was like, they're actually going to...
I know.
I
was
wouldn't
like,
think to do that because I would just assume they wouldn't help for whatever
I feel like
reason.
the FBI would have caller ID and like not even answer for you right now.
Right?
Like even in '99.
Oh, for sure. There's already drones. Come on.
Shepherdsville, Kentucky. No, no. It's
So he calls the FBI, and the way he described it was that they asked him. They said the only way that we can come in and help is if the police department, the local police department,
Which wasn't
requests
gonna
our
happen.
help, which wasn't going to help, or which wasn't going to happen, or if a parent of the missing persons requested us, and that's when he said, "Well, I'm her father. God damn it, get out here."
yeah, seriously.
And so the FBI immediately comes out and starts to get involved. They do an extensive search of Bucky Brooks after hearing what the police had to say about him and what Mike Dishon
Right.
had to say about him. And they find some stuff the local police didn't find.
Find something very interesting.
They find something very interesting. In the barn of Bucky Brooks, they find a picture of Jessica, which is very odd considering the families are not, I mean, these neighbors,
Yeah.
the Dishon family and Bucky Brooks are not best friends
Right.
here. They're not hanging out.
Is this picture from across the damn property?
Is
Because
this-
it damn better be
Yeah, I picture it being like a
like a creepy Polaroid.
creepy. Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah,
a Polaroid.
It's like her. There's like 3 of them of her walking to her car, and it's just her like 10 feet
Bigfoot.
from the
It's like
car,
Bigfoot,
6
like
feet
mid-walk.
from the car, 3 feet from the car.
very creepy. And Polaroids already make everything creepier.
Yeah, they do.
They
got
got
that
room.
little-
They got room at the bottom for
Yeah.
a caption for you to put like what date you murdered them.
Yeah, you can write like all kind of like this was Tim.
You can-
I snatched him at the park. You know,
Yes.
whatever.
It's cute.
Whatever you want to put in there. It just
can
helps keep stuff in order.
Organize your murder portfolio by
Yeah.
alphabet with the little dates at the bottom.
You can go a step further and like get some manila folders and have a, just
Yeah.
keep them in filing cabinets. That way they have tabs too. That way everything you have has tabs. Everything can be labeled. Because this
that
is,
way, when the police find it and they
Yeah.
finally catch you, it makes it real easy for them.
yeah. Because don't use a computer. Because how are you gonna get rid of all that shit? It never goes away.
Yeah,
They
we
can
learned that
always
with
pull
BTK, right? Even floppy disks.
Dude, so many people got caught with computers. Ross Ulbricht.
Yeah,
Man.
Well, that was bound to happen.
Yeah.
That was kind of what he lived on.
Well, I'm just saying, computers. If he would have went off the computer,
Yeah.
just disconnect.
But what
it.
I was trying to say
Okay.
is that the FBI finds this Polaroid picture and their suspicion is now taken up
Yeah.
a notch because this
Right.
guy didn't have any reason to have a picture of her.
No,
They weren't posing together for birthday parties. You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe back in the day, when they first moved in, they were probably friendly,
Maybe. Yeah.
bringing each other pies and stuff.
This is the details we need. We need to know what kind
Yeah.
of picture this is.
We're not good when we don't
if
know
it's
the
her
whole
and Bucky
fucking life.
with their arm around each other smiling, okay.
Yeah,
But if
it's
it's like
different.
we said, if it's her walking to her car, very creepy.
Does she even know the picture was taken?
You literally see bushes on the edges, like
Or was it like a family portrait type photo stolen from their home?
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not cool.
No, not cool at all.
Yeah.
So
So
either way,
So the FBI brings in Bucky Brooks upon finding this picture and having even more suspicion, and they make him the prime suspect. And we have a new big thing that breaks September 27th. So 17 days after she goes missing, Jessica's body is found.
Right.
Now it's found by Edna, the mother, a friend of hers, who was driving into town. She was from out of town. She's driving.
Right.
She decides to take the river bottoms. Kind of a weird route to take, but maybe she was hoping to find something because it seems like she spotted something that wasn't easy to spot. You know, if she's driving along the road and she sees this,
but
many people have probably already passed this.
But she described it as pretty easy to spot.
Maybe it was her that did it. Hey.
What?
Thee who smelt it dealt it, right?
You just fucked me up with this case.
It wasn't her. We'll just say that.
That's what you think.
So Karen Hobbs was driving when she spotted something that looked strange, and it ended up being the body of Jessica badly.
But she really couldn't tell at first.
No, she didn't know what it was, but upon further inspection, she found that it was a decomposing body of a young woman.
Right.
And she knew that Jessica was missing, and so she immediately went and reported this, and the FBI forensics team would go there and discover that it was the body of Jessica Dishon. There were some very strange things, like she had fingers that were missing, correct?
Right, yes.
I've read one story that said that there was a foot missing.
Yeah, I did too. There was one.
They didn't find the other shoe. But it was Jessica's badly decomposed body, and the way that they actually ID'd it was the mother had to come down. Very sad. Edna had to go down. Mike was not willing to do it. He couldn't bring himself to go view his decomposed dead daughter's body.
Right.
Edna did, upon inspection, discover that it was her daughter because of a butterfly tattoo somewhere.
Yeah, like on her side, I think.
Yeah. And so it was Jessica's body, found 17 days after her disappearance. Now, Bucky is someone who had already been the main suspect for the police and the FBI. You'd think he would want to keep himself as far away from this situation as he could. He's not.
No, he's not at
He
all.
continues to. It's just not as. I mean, we find out later why, but he's really just not doing smart things.
Right.
Like he's now calling. During the time on October 26, 1999, Bucky and Joseph Tommy Brooks are making harassing phone calls to the parents of Jessica, Mike, and Edna, and stalking members of their family.
Yeah. Just really trying to instigate some shit here. I don't understand the reasoning behind it.
Right?
I don't know it, unless it was mostly Bucky's brother, but it said that Bucky was making a lot of the phone calls too. I just don't get it, man. I don't know why you would want to bring more heat on yourself.
Yeah, and it just gives the police and the FBI more reasons to bring you in and continue to grill you.
Right.
And during this time, they actually give him a polygraph test at which he fails. And that, toppled with everything else, they finally decide that on January 18th, 2001, that they are going to indict him. Now, that's 2 years that had gone by.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to just imagine the frustration from Jessica's family.
He's living right across. They're
living
right
in
there.
a property adjacent to you, and all this stuff has pointed in his direction. The picture, the burned gloves in the barrel that smell like death.
Yeah, I mean, you think, okay, at the very least, he had something to do with it.
Right.
The very, very least.
Yeah, so imagine living next to him for another 2-3 years before the police finally feel like they have
It's
enough.
so hard not to go down there and quote unquote question him.
And when the police came to tell, like when Jessica's body was first found and the police came and told them, they were very frustrated because upon autopsy results, they found out that their daughter had been alive for 2 or more days before being killed while being tortured and starved. She was starved for 2 days before finally its cause of death was strangulation.
Right. And my mind immediately went back to when Christopher was taking out the trash.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
the day
yes.
after she went missing, and then
She was still technically alive.
She would have been still alive.
Oh
then.
my
The
God, that's
timeline
eerie.
matched up.
That has to be what he heard then. That has to be what he heard.
But it's even creepier that it's close proximity, which even puts more stock, I think,
Well, I
in
don't
the
know
Bucky
how.
theory.
Did it ever say how far away the body was from where they lived, where she was found, where the river, how far the river bottoms?
Well, the river bottoms couldn't have been that far because they walked.
They walked initially to go
Yeah.
search the area, and they just happened to. I think they called off their search when they weren't far from finding her.
Right.
Unfortunately, now so like we said, the parents were super pissed when they found out that she'd been alive for a couple of days, because it's like, we told you she didn't run away, and she was still alive when we went to you and told you that.
Yep.
And you guys didn't give a good enough effort to where we could have found her still alive.
This is where things just start falling apart.
Yeah. But so now, like, they finally indict the neighbor in January 18th, 2001, and charge him with Jessica's murder. He's facing the death penalty if convicted. And so we would be heading to trial during this time. Now, when asked in court what he would do if his prints were found on the body, he said, "If you found my prints, I'd have to admit it." And so he's just
I think he's
not
just
helping
making-
himself,
I
saying
think
all
he's
these
just-
stupid things.
He kind of did like kind of a Damien Eccles thing, but I don't think he realized it.
Yeah.
Like Damien did. It's like I think he just like toying with people, just part of being an adolescent, you know. But I don't think Damien Eccles from West Memphis 3, if you're not familiar with the reference, but
Right.
not you. I know you are.
Yeah, we just did that one.
But yeah, I think that it's
We find out late, once again, we find out this guy had an IQ of 63 later on.
Oh,
And so a lot
61,
of these
dude.
silly things that he's doing make a little bit more sense when you find that out.
yeah.
Now, the strategies for the two different sides and the effort put in seemed a little unbalanced. The defense preyed on the shoddy police work, and they did really a lot of legwork, and there was a lot of paperwork done by the defense
Right.
in this trial, and it seemed like a really half-assed prosecution.
I think the prosecution thought they had it in the bag, man.
Well, yeah,
I thought there's like this is
but
enough
I
evidence.
don't know that they shouldn't. They should have. When you look at what
No,
they
hell
had
no.
going into it, it's like, what do you literally have physically tied that proves that he murdered? He had a picture of her, sure.
Yeah.
He had some gloves. You can't prove that it was her.
No, you can't do
decomposed
anything with this. But for some reason, I felt like they felt like they had it in the bag, like it was good to go.
On January 29th, 2003, so this trial is going on for a couple of years here, from 01 to 03. And nearing the end of it, Detective Charlie Mann takes the stand, and in the midst of being grilled by the defense, he says that he believes Brooks is guilty based on a failed polygraph. And when he did that, you got
Like a fucking alarm went off.
a big gasp in the courtroom, because what he's just said,
It's over.
you cannot do.
Can't say it.
You cannot say that out loud, because, like we said, it's not admissible in the court, and you can't say that that's your main reason for why you think this person's guilty when it's not admissible.
Right.
And what ends up happening is a mistrial because of this.
Yep.
It's shocking. The family's outraged. The mom's standing up crying and shouting in the courtroom, because that just pretty much ruined their chance of getting this guy behind bars anytime soon.
Oh, yeah, this took all the steam out of the investigation. It's over.
Yeah.
Like they.
And when you're talking about an unmotivated police
You're talking about unmotivated
department,
police department. Anyways,
they're not going to immediately dive back in and try and find
No.
more evidence. It's been so long since it happened. There is
Right.
The physical evidence is fucked at this point.
and they got to go back to square one now. No, they're not.
Right. So basically, that means this dude's free and he's not going to be tried again. He could.
Actually,
he
it
could have
was-
been tried again, but they everybody assumed it wouldn't be.
Well, actually, the police department couldn't follow up. It was up to the Commonwealth, right? At this point, like once a mistrial has happened, it's up to the Commonwealth if they want to re-engage this suspect and try to find more evidence. And it just didn't seem like a big enough issue to them.
Wow. Well, so on
the time.
on September 6, 2003, it was officially when the judge dismissed the charges against him. The prosecution gave up on Bucky Brooks, and the case as a whole gave the evidence back to the families.
See,
So when
that's a
they
sign right
received
there.
boxes of evidence, they knew this thing was not going to go back to
Right.
trial again. Mike and Edna take it hard, and basically this is where the case goes cold. Like when you watch Cold Case Files, the case went cold. Like, time is passing now.
Commercial break.
We alluded earlier how Mike and Edna, the parents, sometimes parents that have a great marriage, something like this happens, they lose a child and
Yeah.
they just can't.
It rips them apart.
I
They
think
can't
part
get
of it is
past
you look at your wife, say, and you see your daughter. You know what I mean? Like she looked exactly like Edna. If you see pictures of Jessica
Yeah.
and her mother, they were like identical. And so
Right.
Mike might have just gotten really sad and frustrated and angry every time he looked at his wife, and it's not her fault. But I mean, she comes to him at a certain point and says she wants a divorce.
Yeah.
And according to him, they got divorced and never spoke to each other again. So like they're
And they
doing
did the
these
documentary
interviews.
in like what 2015 or 16.
The episode of Cold Case Files.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they're both doing interviews, and apparently they haven't talked since many years prior in the early 2000s.
I wonder if they spoke while they were on set.
Yeah.
You know, like in the same areas, or maybe they were interviewed separately. Be interesting.
So from the time that was dropped in September of 2003, not much was done. It went cold, and it's just sitting. All these files are sitting in somewhere in a storage room.
Yeah, the few little evidence that wasn't personal belongings. Like when we say they gave the evidence back to the families, we're talking about Jessica's personal effects, obviously.
Right.
Not little pieces of trash and shit that they had found and around the crime scenes and stuff. Not that stuff.
Now, however, in June 2012, 9 years later, approximately, retired Louisville detective Lynn Hunt moves to town and basically gets assigned the task of going through old murder cases that have been unsolved and trying to solve
Right.
them. And the biggest one in the area in the last, 15 years was still the case.
Yeah, I
of
think
Jessica
she
Dishon.
just saw that as a challenge. She just retired and she was bored. She's like, I gotta go. Might as well go
And
close some more cold cases.
And probably upon just glancing at it, one of the big headlines of this whole case was the ineptitude from the police department. So she probably thought this is a good chance to find. This actually could be wrapped up if it was if more effort was put in.
Right.
Because there wasn't enough put in initially.
Exactly.
She finds the shitty evidence box that the prosecution had prepared for trial, goes through that, and then she also goes to the defense attorney's office and gains access to the evidence in which they had brought to trial, which was much more extensive.
Oh, yeah, they had a bunch of tricks up their sleeve.
Right.
They didn't even have to bring them out in court.
They had alternate suspects. Something we didn't mention from the trial was that there was a person who was brought on the stand named James Coulter, who was a drug dealer at the time. I think he was probably a small-time pot dealer or something.
Probably.
Because when you saw video, they actually played video from him in court. He's just a young...
I think the whole trial's on video.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on YouTube or whatever, but...
He just looked like a young, kind of trashy pot dealer kid.
Yeah. He wasn't killing nobody.
Right, but they were going to bring him on just to kind of point the finger in another direction.
Right.
Which
He
is
saw her around the time she disappeared, and that's pretty much the only...
He had talked to her the night before she
Yeah.
disappeared, and he basically said that his relationship with her was that he sold her drugs on occasion and that he wasn't proud of it, but he was doing that. We're guessing it was probably sell her a dime bag here and there or whatever.
Yeah, he was like, I'm ashamed of it now. I was like, dude, you're still dealing, bro. Come on.
Right.
He's acting like it's like that part of his life's behind him. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, bro, you probably got a deal after you leave here.
Now, the prosecution or the defense had never, the police had never followed up on James Coulter, his story. They had never really, that's what we're saying. They locked on, which is something very common.
Yeah.
They locked on to one suspect. And this James kid who was a drug dealer and had talked to Jessica the night before,
Right.
They didn't follow up on his story. They didn't go and actually check to see what his story was, which is that he was at a hotel that night with a girl and that somebody could potentially, but now it's been how many years?
13 years.
13 years have gone by, so who's going to be able to corroborate his story?
Apparently the custodian.
Yeah.
I don't buy that shit, man.
Well,
I'm surprised Lynn Hunt took that guy's word.
So Lynn Hunt actually went the extra step and went and followed up on this kid's story and went to the hotel hoping maybe they would keep records of who stayed in the rooms. And of course, they didn't have records that went back that far.
Well, it's also important to note that James told her specifically that he spoke with a maintenance man and that the maintenance man there would know that he was there. And he strongly insinuated the maintenance guy. He's like, hey, the maintenance guy.
You think he went
He definitely
down there
went
and
and
gave this
talked
guy
with that
50
dude.
and said, hey,
he was like, bro,
13
listen.
years ago, you saw me here.
Yeah. A detective's going to come and talk to you, man. Like, just listen, cover for me. You saw me right here.
Well, she actually talks to this maintenance man who actually remembers
Man, that's amazing.
James Coulter on that night.
What a fucking memory.
Right?
This guy's a goddamn elephant.
Well, the guy had been watching the trials on TV and said, hey, that's that kid from the hotel. And so that's why he remembered it. Something important has to happen for you to be able to remember.
But still being able to remember that he's there that day and what time he checked out.
No, it seems unrealistic for sure. This is coming from a guy
Unless
that
that's
I can't remember what I had for breakfast half the time.
Unless that's like his one claim to fame. And he's like, you know that James Coulter boy?
Right.
Cleaned his room once.
Yeah. He tells his wife every day. She's like, I know. God.
We're still not having sex. Get off me.
Yeah. So she follows up and he actually remembers her. Or remembers the kid that was on trial or whatever. And so she, in her mind, rules him out as an alternate suspect.
Yeah, like I said, I was surprised about that she just ruled him out like that.
Right.
But whatever.
Now, so she's kind of like doing this, and something interesting happens. Something breaks around the same time. One of her coworkers must have known that she was working on this case because one of her old coworkers contacts her. She's been kind of working on this case for almost a year now.
Right.
And this coworker contacts her and tells her that he had been talking to an inmate, and this inmate, he asked, just on a whim, like, do you know anybody of any unsolved murders in the area? Do you have any information on it? And the guy said, yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, I was in a cell with a guy who claims he killed Jessica Dishon. Very, very interesting break in this whole case. And so he gets this big chunk of information from this guy that he was just kind of on a whim
Right.
threw out there, like, hey, do you happen to know anything about an unsolved murder in the area or anything like that? Anything you can give us?
Right. But they're still not trying to get too excited. I mean, because he is a prisoner who would say whatever he wants to get a couple months
We've
off
seen
the
it
sentence.
before.
Yeah.
We've seen it. We saw it in in the West Memphis 3 case. The guy
Right.
goes up there and was just trying to help himself out, and he was just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He just hurt
That's
you know,
right.
these innocent kids and helped them get locked away. So on September 30th, 2013, Hunt would go down and interview this inmate who claimed he knows who killed Jessica Dishon. Now, this is the shocking part of this story, because the person that he claims killed Jessica Dishon was Stanley Dishon, her uncle.
Yes.
The guy who helped in the search for her the day that she went missing, the guy who
Guy that got
suggested,
sick.
the guy that we didn't mention, suggested they go to River Bottoms
Mm-hmm.
because if someone was to kill somebody, they would
Yep.
go take them to River Bottoms. in
He
his
was quoted
opinion.
saying that.
He was quoted saying that. The guy that got sick during the search and started
Yep.
vomiting, turns out that was within a mile of finding Jessica, and he was just so concerned that her father would find Jessica
Right.
and discover him.
Well, dude, he's also the guy that happened to show up right after Christopher ran inside and told his dad that he heard her screaming. He just happens to pull up in their drive.
Yeah, unannounced.
How
Unannounced. It's not
convenient.
like he called and said, "Hey, I'm stopping by." He just showed up.
He just showed up and
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, let's go look." I'm like, I'd have been Mike. I'd have been like, "That's mighty fine timing you got there, Stanley."
Right. This is also a guy in Stanley Dishon that, upon further inspection, has a extensive history of
Sexual abuse
of
Yes.
younger women,
Family
and
members.
family members, and and actually during the trial for the initial suspect, David Bucky Brooks, he was actually put behind bars on a 10-year sentence for
Yep.
molesting 2 young girls, one of them being his own daughter, the other one being his stepdaughter.
They were 8 and 10 years old.
8 and 10 years old. He was actually convicted during the trial of Bucky Brooks.
Yeah. And while he was in jail in 2002,
How did the cops? He had been also arrested prior on sexual abuse in 1982. So he has
Yes.
a long history with this. Mm-hmm. He's a creepy guy.
Repeat
he grew
offender.
up here. He lived with this family, the Dishons. He's one of these kind of guys that has no job,
Yeah.
doesn't want a job,
Right.
or doesn't stick around with a job very long, and he kind of bounces around. He lived with the Dishon family up until Jessica was 13 years old, a guy that had a history of sexual abuse, and the police didn't ever question him
did not look into him.
after the murder and didn't assume he was a suspect at all, even though he had lived with them and he was around the investigation. And a lot of times we see people
Yeah.
who do a crime interject himself into a story,
Well, do we wanna
much
bring-
like he did.
Do we want to bring up the letter that was written in 2002 right now? Also,
Go for it.
So when Stanley was charged,
There was
with,
more than one informant
sexual
who
abuse.
he told.
Yeah, he apparently was just admitting this to every fucking cellmate he had.
Yeah.
because he admitted it to somebody in 2002
During
and
the trial.
and that prisoner wrote to the police department, and nothing was done.
Yeah. So he goes behind bars for 10 years, like we said, during the trial for the molestation of
Also-
his 2 daughters. And then he, while in bars for that, tells an inmate that he had killed Jessica Dishon.
Yeah, but you can't totally put all the blame on the Bullitt County Police here, because the FBI had a copy of this too.
They
and
had
the
a copy of-
Commonwealth.
So this guy that he told wrote a letter to the police,
Yes,
and the FBI and the police department had this letter
Yes.
in 2002
in 2002.
while this other guy is on trial for this.
Yes.
And they
Nothing
didn't follow
happened.
up on it.
Nope.
And he was free for another 11 years
Mm-hmm.
before finally being discovered.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. This guy is disgusting. You can see pictures and videos of him. Okay, and some of the stuff that he told her, this guy behind bars, some of the stuff that he told Lynn Hunt was the reason that, I mean, like we said, people can say anything. Maybe they're trying to help themselves or just make their life more
But
interesting.
these details were a little too
The
specific.
details were too specific. So what was some of the stuff that he told her that this guy had told him he did with Jessica?
Yeah, he told her that he kept her alive for a couple days in a local barn, which lined up. And he also said that he cut off her fingers to throw people off the case and suspected it was like a drug cartel violence or something like that. And he said that he did it because
For a specific reason,
she had a boyfriend who was her age.
and he was jealous.
And he was,
And-
and she was threatening to tell this new boyfriend what Stanley
all
had
of
been
his
doing
dirty
to her.
secrets, because this guy had been molesting her.
Yes.
According to him, he'd been molesting her for many years since she was little.
And she'd
she'd also become aware of some other things he'd been doing with his daughters that he later got convicted for.
Yeah, she was about to spill the beans on Stanley.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, basically what happened that morning, you want to go through what actually happened?
Oh, at the house?
At the house, yeah. I mean, from all account, from what we can discover from what these inmates were told by Stanley, because he never officially confessed to the police or anything. But what you can kind of make out happened that morning was that her parents went to work, the brothers went to school.
Yep, Jessica's home alone. She's getting up, getting ready to go. Mm-hmm. And it
Stanley
seems like
shows up.
Stanley approaches her as she's getting in her car, maybe.
Yeah.
And she's trying to get in. And then he drags her out of the
There's
car.
a confrontation that happens.
Some sort of confrontation
because
right there, yeah.
She must have said something along the lines, I'm going to go to my new boyfriend about what you've been doing,
Yeah.
or I'm going to tell my parents or somebody what you're doing, because she had recently discovered that he had been molesting his two daughters, and she wanted to try and protect them from what she had gone through.
That's right.
And now she's got this new boyfriend, and maybe she now feels confident enough to actually say something, and he knew either he was going to go to prison forever or he was going to get straight up killed by his brother, who was the father of this girl that he's been molesting for so many years, probably in his own household half the time, because he was living with him for a while.
God, that's awful.
Yeah,
but
terrible.
what I suspect happened is he grabbed her out of the car when she tried to leave, and
that's when he gets a phone call. She's trying to like reach over and dial 911 on her phone.
I'm guessing he probably grabbed the phone out of her hand, threw it in the car, threw her purse in there, dragged her out, and her heel probably caught on the edge of the bottom of the car there.
Yeah.
And that's probably what pulled her shoe off. But then somehow they end up inside.
Yeah.
She runs inside. I don't know why you would run inside.
Now the reason we know this is because once Lynn gets this information, she, rather than go straight to the police about it, she figured she should try and find some physical evidence, because one of the things she discovered is that he told this inmate that he had taken her to an abandoned barn, popular area for hanging out, like kids would hang out and drink at this abandoned barn out in the middle of nowhere.
They would have like parties at night and shit.
And he had been torturing her there for a couple days, and that's where he'd kept her, and that he had, in a nearby fallen tree, buried some of her, kind of like just put some of her stuff, her belongings, under this abandoned tree. So,
Sorry, I got excited. I get excited about this part. Shit starts coming together.
Right. So things start coming together, because she goes out and she searches the areas where she thinks, and she starts to give up. It's raining, and she's searching, and she's got some help with her, some young dude. This is like
she's got her brother with her. She's got Jessica's little brother.
Oh, okay.
She's got Bubby with her.
Oh, Bubby. That's right. She has Bubby. So they're out there looking. They don't find anything. They don't find this fallen tree with the belongings, and they're getting ready to leave, and I guess they spot this barn, right?
Yeah. And Bubby's like, that's where we party over there.
And it clicks. She's like, that's got to be the barn where she was tortured.
Yeah.
And they go and search this barn, and they find something very interesting, like in a kind of a pile of debris. She finds a piece of cloth or some kind of
some sort of fabric,
and it turns out to be like a fitted bed sheet.
Right.
And she immediately says, like, she's been in Jessica's bedroom, and the bedroom is exactly the same. The parents haven't touched it at all in 13 years, haven't messed with it. And so she kind of like, it clicks. She's like, that looks like the pattern from her bed. From her bed sheets, and they bring it back to the house, and sure enough, it matches.
Yeah,
it's the fitted bed sheet.
Yeah, about to say, once they get it out of the debris and get it cleaned off, they see that it's a fitted bed sheet.
Yeah,
and then when they get back,
they realize that
no
the
fitted bed
mattress
sheet at all.
is missing the fitted bed sheet, and it has been for all these years.
Who made that bed? And
it had to have been him. He must have gone in. He must have knocked her out, taken her inside, wrapped her in the sheet, and then made the bed look normal again.
Yeah,
maybe assuming that the parents wouldn't mess with the bedroom.
Yeah, you're right.
And
he
then
must have
taken her to the barn, tied her up.
Because I was thinking, I was like, how could her mom come in here to have made this bed and cleaned up this room? I just think about her being like, sentimental and thinking about and taking extra care and decorating the room and putting everything back. And then how do you not notice that bed sheet? But yeah, I guess so. Stanley must have done that.
Yep.
Because the only way he got her out was, I guess, in that bed sheet. I guess he did knock her out in the room. And maybe he just thought, well, I got time now. Mm-hmm. I might as well tidy things up.
He knows that no one was coming home for many hours because they're all at work or at school. Yeah, so he had time. Who knows? I mean, who knows what he did with her once inside. But he definitely, it seems like he took that bed sheet, wrapped her up in it, and was dumb enough with 13 years of time to not go and destroy that piece of evidence in that barn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe we're not focusing on how good of bed sheets those are.
That's high
They
quality.
were out in the elements for 13, because this barn like had holes in it. Like 'cause
Yeah.
she had mentioned, like they were getting rained on inside
You'd
the barn.
think rodents
and stuff.
would be like
Yeah.
living in it, eating it, shredding it up or whatever.
There's some Egyptian cotton or some shit, man.
Right.
Some good sheets.
Well, thank God, because that
Yeah.
was the one piece of physical evidence they had, and they now felt like they had enough with the story of the informants
Yeah.
to testify against him. And
Listen, don't go cheap on the sheets.
yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah, you could end up
go
never
cheap
having
on
your
the
murder
sheets.
discovered
Yeah.
if you go cheap on your sheets.
Yeah, don't go cheap
We
on
need
the
a sheet
sheets.
sponsor now.
Yeah.
Remember Jessica Dishon?
We could have slid that right in
High
there.
quality sheets. That's terrible.
Okay. Carry on.
So on October 3rd, 2013, Stanley Dishon was indicted on charges of kidnapping and murdering Jessica. Now, he didn't admit to doing it. He didn't want to come clean about it.
Right.
However, he did end up doing something we've talked about, and we talked about in the West Memphis 3 case, which keeps coming up.
Alfred.
The Alfred plea
Yeah.
is what he decided to do. And I was kind of upset that the prosecution even took this path. It didn't
Me
seem like they needed
too.
to. It's like you could have got the death
You
penalty with this guy,
coulda-
and the parents wanted them. His own brother, Mike, was so pissed that he said, if you get convicted, I want you dead. You know, and how could you not be that? Just disgusted with your brother who you've helped out time and time again. You've helped
him,
get him
clothed
jobs.
him.
You've let him live in your house with your kids, and this is what you
Man.
do to his daughter.
Yeah, that's a fucked
But I
up
mean, this is the
person.
kind of guy that was doing it to his own daughters. You know what I mean? This guy is just the kind of person that should just not be born. He's just
He just, at least, well, I mean, he should be born, but if he messes up that bad, then it should be.
no. I mean, it'd be better if he was never born
Oh yeah, I guess so.
at all.
Yeah,
But
but we don't, you know. Well, when we have time machines, can just abort people who are going to make problems.
yeah, I think that's a great, wonderful idea. Actually,
Oh, yeah?
save a lot of lives.
Okay, well, I'll get started on it.
Good. We need the flux capacitor.
Do we? Yeah, definitely.
Marty, going back to the future.
Get a DeLorean, a hoverboard, some Nikes that automatically strap on my feet.
I'm thinking instead of a DeLorean, it's got to be a creeper van.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we get back.
Yeah, let's
track.
just finish the story. We're almost done.
Okay, so on October 3rd, 2013, Stanley was indicted on charges of kidnapping and murdering Jessica. However, he had some court dates scheduled for some other issues.
This motherfucker. He
On
had all
November,
kinds of stuff.
he didn't go right to trial for Jessica's murder, because on November 4th, 2013, just a month later, he had a court date for sodomizing his female relatives, his daughters, which he pled not guilty to.
Then he also, in January 27th, 2014, he pleads not guilty to sexually abusing a male relative, which was never specified. I couldn't find out who it was.
Right.
But that he was apparently doing that between 96 and 97.
So he was already going to be locked up for a while.
You know, that could have been one of Jessica's brothers, because they would have been younger.
Yeah.
They would.
I wouldn't put anything past this guy from what I've learned. And then so leading up to his impending trial for Jessica on January 22nd, 2015, he was offered a plea deal which he accepted. I don't know why they went ahead and offered him a plea deal. I feel like they had enough with all of his history and with the sheet that the inmate told them in the location where he said it would be.
Right.
They found a sheet tying to Jessica's bedroom.
Right.
I felt like they had enough, and his strange behavior, even as his ex-wife now, but his wife at the time when Jessica was disappeared, she even said, "I couldn't believe that the police didn't question him because he was."
He's a creep.
She could. Then again, his ex-wife's wife at the time could have
Yeah.
gone to the police and said, "I think you should look into my husband," because she said he wasn't sleeping. His sleep pattern was all off during the time Jessica was missing, and he was just acting very strange. And if the family was actually paying
Right.
attention to his
Right.
strange behavior, maybe they just want to assume the best in their.
I just want to think that he's so torn up at her disappearance.
Old Mike wanted to believe the best in his brother. His
I think we
Klingon
yeah.
creepy brother. So he accepts the plea deal for 4 counts of rape. They gave him manslaughter for Jessica's in this
Yeah.
plea deal. They gave him manslaughter for this. Manslaughter for holding
Manslaughter.
a 17-year-old girl captive for 2 days, cutting off her fingers, starving her,
Yep.
and strangling her to death.
4 counts of rape on top of that, and additional sexual abuse charges, and he gets 20 years.
20 years with a chance for parole in 16 years.
What a damn bargain!
Unbelievable. This dude could get out alive. He was.
Yeah, he'll be in his 70s.
He wasn't even that old. I mean, yeah, he wasn't even that young when he was convicted of this.
I mean, Mike's going to kill him, but he'll be 70.
Yeah, in the Cold Case Files episode, Mike Dishon, the father, said that he'll be waiting for him.
Yeah,
as soon
he
as he
insinuated.
Gets out. He knew the date that he gets
Yeah.
out. He's like, he gets out this date, he'll be 77, and I'll be there waiting with my shotgun.
Well, as long as Mike's
fantastic.
not the older brother, because it ain't looking good for him.
I think that'd be great because Mike's going to be so old that it's like, even if he gets
he don't
murdered
give a
for
fuck,
it,
right?
I think it'll be worth it for him.
Yeah.
He'll sit out the rest of his days knowing that he killed that piece of shit that did that to his
He'll
daughter.
roll up on his Jazzy for a drive-by,
Right.
cruise on up the grassy hill, man.
Yeah.
Smoke him a cigar, enjoy a natty ice,
Right.
go off into the sunset.
So crazy story with a crazy twist. Mm-hmm. And
It was a really good case file episode. It really was. I
it
really
was
liked it.
enough that we wanted to do an episode on it.
Yeah.
And
Good suggestion, Michelle, as always.
Absolutely.
We've done a few of her suggestions.
We
I
hope we
think.
did a good enough job of giving you some clues, but without giving it like pointing.
Yeah.
You know,
I hope we didn't
straight at-
ruin it.
Yeah.
Not many people have done it. I think saw a few indie podcasts like us,
Yeah.
but not many people have covered it, and I'm surprised. This is the biggest cold case in Kentucky during that.
Yeah.
during
So
that
if you're
period
from
before it was
Kentucky, I'm
called.
sure you've heard about this
Yeah,
one, but
yeah,
otherwise, I doubt you have.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting case of where the police could have done a much better job, where there was a family member involved. So you always have to, people are people. People, like, whether they're a family member or not, people are not, they're far from perfect. And they can have an outward persona. They can really hide a lot of secrets. A lot of people have secrets that you'll.
Right.
So.
Do you think a lot of these small town police departments, like, you can't really hold them at fault? I just can't see them getting the training that it takes to solve these
I think
bigger profile cases that happen in their towns.
I think they were ill-equipped to
Yeah.
deal with this type of situation. And when in a situation where you don't have a body and you don't know where the hell she is.
Well, it's just like, it's like, like when it snows in a warm area. You don't have the equipment. Everything shuts down because you don't have the equipment to plow the roads or whatever, like in Chicago or New York or.
I feel like it's the most
different.
basic stuff. Like every listener of this that's into crime knows how a basic murder investigation starts. It starts from the inside out. Okay, you start with family members first. You start with like anybody that could be close to the victim, like the neighbor would make sense, especially since they weren't on good terms. That made sense. Them talking to Bucky Brooks.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense that they didn't talk to the uncle.
Okay, but what if
who was a part of the search team, who lived with this family for a while, who had a history of sexual abuse? How do you not at least bring him in for questioning?
Well, because you've never dealt with anything this high profile, and also you probably know these people already.
That's a problem, though. You got to treat it without any bias at all.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Humans are all biased. Whether you admit it or not, everybody's biased. Everybody forms an opinion. Stereotypes are taken into consideration whether they're real or not. And familiarity it's cancer in these cases. I feel like these people, they feel so familiar with these people in their town, and then they don't even want to see that side.
Once
of
again,
them.
West Memphis 3,
Yeah.
same thing.
If those three boys went against everything that town as a whole believed in, that's why they were targeted. They made themselves outsiders. If they would have never done that, they wouldn't have been targeted. That case would have went just completely cold.
Right.
There would have been nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. John Mark Byers and Terry Hobbs are acting all strange, have more motive than those three boys do.
Right. But
You
they
know what I
blend
mean?
in.
Yeah.
They fit the mold.
Yeah, and they have connections to the police department. And they hang out with them, and especially in John Mark Byers' case,
Oh, yeah.
he's fucking hanging out with the police officers.
Yep.
So yeah, these small town things, they get real interesting.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know, man. The letter really blew my mind. The fact that the Bullitt County Sheriff's Department had a letter from 2002 from an inmate that claimed that Stanley Dishon had done this, and they didn't. This is during the trial of the initial guy that they had, and they didn't. Then they still didn't go and question Stanley.
Yeah.
How do you not look into him, see his history, and hear this written letter that a person had written saying that he had done it and been told from the horse's mouth, and you don't follow up on it? Maybe it's because it's already at trial and you don't want to shake things up.
Yeah.
You've already got your guy, and you've already gone through the trouble of setting up a trial, and you don't want to discredit yourself and show that you were completely incapable of finding the right guy.
Maybe the chance to crucify Bucky Brooks were just too loud at that time. They
Yeah.
didn't want to deny what seemed
And there were some
obvious.
strange things about Bucky, for sure.
Dude, Bucky had something to do with that shit.
You think so? It's very possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we said, he had an IQ of 63, and he should have never even been put under a polygraph test because you're not even sure whether he understands the questions that he's being asked, and then he's supposed to answer them truthfully.
Right.
And his life is on the line potentially.
There's video of Bucky in court, and if you watch him really close, watch his mannerisms, the way he responds to questions, you can tell he's just flying by the seat of his pants. He doesn't know what's going on.
And it makes sense that he would do strange things like taunting them. And so he has such a low IQ, he doesn't understand the scope of what he's in.
Right.
We've seen it time and time again with wrongly convicted people with polygraph tests involved. They didn't realize the severity of this test they're being given.
Right.
They don't take anything seriously.
That's right.
It's like, I didn't do it, so how could they get me? It doesn't matter what I do. They don't have any evidence. Like,
Exactly.
much like Jesse Miss Kelly.
Yeah.
Same fucking thing. So
Very
at
similar.
least this guy didn't sit behind bars forever. At least it's kind of a good thing that mistrial happened. Really, really think about it, because it would have just been over if that dude doesn't say
Polygraph.
Who knows? Maybe he gets convicted. If it doesn't become a mistrial, maybe the jury does decide he did it because of all the weird shit we talked about. And then he's still sitting there to this day, and the uncle's still, out molesting young girls.
And because of the severity of the crime and the body and then the evidence and then the...
How do you think that guy that accidentally
town?
said polygraph during that trial now feels? You think he's like, thank God I said that. I'm so glad I'm a dumbass. I saved a man's life by being a dumbass.
See there? I think that deserves a desk pop.
Yeah, everybody do a desk pop for us right now.
Everybody.
We hope you guys enjoyed that case.
Yeah.
Let's do some shout outs and thank everybody for listening to this podcast and giving us support, much more than we deserve.
Let's do it.
And
man.
do some sponsors.
Yeah, what do you want to do first?
I want to do Oh My Gaia because she just sent us an awesome care package.
Oh my Gaia.
Wendy,
It's
you are the
always
shit.
taking care of us.
Wendy over at Oh My Gaia, she actually made a custom scent for us and for true crime people.
we're gonna try it
It's
out, aren't
called
we?
True Crime Pine.
We have not smelt it yet.
Hopefully it'll be on shelf soon. We have the prototype in our hands right now. True Crime Pine deodorant.
Here we go.
It disguises you when you're out burying bodies.
Yeah. Well, you when you go into the forest, you just smell like the pines. It's like dogs can't find you.
Yes.
If you wear camouflage,
I like this.
You're good to go.
If you're like Bundy on the run in the mountains,
yeah.
the dogs can't sniff you out.
Listen, you get you a good ghillie suit and get you some of this True Crime
True
Pine.
Crime Pine.
And listen, you can snipe people from the woods. Seriously.
Or you can sneak up on criminals if that's your bag of
I
tricks.
can't guarantee it, but it seems more likely. All right, I'm going to smell it now for the first time. It actually smells pretty good. Hold on, one more time. I need to take some of this home. I'm going to try this.
Give a whiff.
It's so, like...
Ooh, that is refreshing.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
It's like clean, but it's got a twist at the end, kind of like this episode.
Yeah. What a great time.
Kind of like most true crime stories. Clean with a twist. That's going to be its motto.
Clean with,
I like that. True Crime Pine. I would say
Crime Pine.
Don't mess with it at all, Wendy. Let's get this on shelves so we can start selling this shit like hotcakes.
Right. And if you guys are listening to this is your first episode listening to us, or you live under a rock or something or whatever, Oh My Gaia is an innovative all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company what specializes in paraben and aluminum-free products. So you're not putting aluminum in your armpits like you are with your speed stick.
Right.
Or your secret or whatever. It's no secret that you're putting cancer-causing things in your armpits. See what I did there?
It shouldn't be. This should be common day knowledge. You shouldn't
Yes.
be putting aluminum in your pits.
Exactly. Don't do it. She has a bunch of other scents too. In addition to the true crime scent, which hopefully will be out.
She
soon.
just sent us a care package with a bunch of different scents. The highlights for me. Now everybody has different tastes. And she's got a great big palette of different things for you to try.
Right.
Mike's an Egyptian musk guy.
I am.
I'm lumberjack, and I also discovered a new one. Was it
Dreamsicle? I think.
Dreamsicle.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It smells like an orange creamsicle. Like it's super nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Made me want
My
to
daughter
eat
uses
my
that
own
one. She
pit.
loves it. Yeah. You want to eat?
I want to eat my own pit.
Yeah. Like don't. Yeah. You.
It's a good thing I can't reach it.
The only
I would
warning
try
that
to
should
eat
be
it.
on that one is you may lick your pit. You may do it. you may do it.
And you could probably get away with doing it because it doesn't have aluminum in it.
Right. And
You could probably eat the shit.
there you go.
Creamsicle, if you're a deodorant eater, this is your stuff.
Just put it above your lip on a hot day and just give it a little.
She also has beard oil, which I can't
Right.
I can't promote enough because it's made my beard nice and shiny. I've got the playoff hockey beard going right now, people.
Nice.
Our own Vegas Golden Knights are in the playoffs. We're 1-0 against
1-0.
the LA Kings. Go Knights, go. And I've got my hockey beard going, and this oil has helped keeping it nice and shiny and fresh.
It looks
and
good,
soft,
man.
and I love it.
And you got a new scent. Right?
Yeah, so I've been using Lumberjack for my beard, and then she also sent me a vanilla. I think it's
It's on that note right there.
let's see,
She's got all
bourbon
kinds of-
vanilla, bourbon vanilla, and it's awesome. I love it.
It sounds manly.
Yeah,
It does, even with vanilla in it.
the bourbon helps.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely the
I
bourbon.
just
that
had a
makes it
vanilla
seem-
beard. Well,
It's
bourbon vanilla. That's manly.
that's kind of a good way to describe you, Lauren. Bourbon and vanilla.
I'm not that bland, man. I'm just kidding. Vanilla doesn't have to be bland if it's like
No, it's right. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
What, I gotta be chocolate all the time? Come on.
Right. Well, she has a bunch of scents. She's got vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, and I think she's still offering the limited edition bergamot amber, which that's my wife's favorite. But if you're interested in any of these deodorants, beard oils, or just scented oils, you can use the code CRIMEGUYS for 15% off. That's one word, CRIMEGUYS. And you can find her at ohmygaia on Instagram or ohmygaia.com. That's ohmygaia.com.
We've gotten nothing but awesome feedback from her products. Many listeners this is our main sponsor, and we want everybody listening to this to smell fantastic. If we ever
Yeah.
meet you, you better have some
Yeah.
Oh My Guy in your pits, or
That's right.
We're gonna
None
tell
of that
you.
Old Spice shit.
when we give you a hug as a listener, if we get sweat on us from your stinky speed stick pits, we may just turn and walk
With
away.
that white shit in your armpit hair, we're
might
not
just-
dealing with that.
Yeah, no.
You will have none of that.
I'm beyond that. I don't hang with that kind of company anymore.
I tell you what,
We've moved past it.
we give people who sponsor on here their money's worth, 'cause we've been talking about this for a long time.
We're gonna do an
All right,
entire
Wendy,
episode on
Wendy,
Oh My
we
God.
love you. We have to move on to another sponsor,
Yeah.
which is also a friend of Wendy's who actually she hooked us up with him at Propaganda Creative. So they're a small creative full design graphic design company in Spokane.
They can make you logos. Spokane, Washington.
Spokane, not Spokane, bro.
We had about the entire Spokane army come after us
Yeah.
for saying Spokane. So we apologize to our sponsor for saying your city. You know, we hate
Right.
when people say Nevada as Nevadans.
Yeah. So we
However,
apologize.
maybe if you cut the E off, it'd be a little easier to understand.
easier. It would be a lot easier.
Nevada looks like Nevada. Doesn't
Right.
Spokane looks like Spokane.
It looks like Spokane, but we'll call it Spokane. But anyways,
But in Spokane, it's an awesome company.
it is. Propaganda Creative is a full-service design firm. They're small but mighty. They provide web design, graphic design, and other marketing services with a focus on amplifying brands and helping good people create success.
So they can make you logos. They can help you with packaging, right?
Right. They actually.
Oh My Guy is
Oh My Guy
packaging.
is logos and packaging is through Propaganda Creative, which it looks amazing.
It is. It's great products. Like the little canisters you get the deodorant in are very high quality.
Right. And they're a little more affordable too because they don't have to charge prices like New York City, LA, or San Francisco. Being in Spokane, like we said, they're small, but they're mighty. They have an awesome crew there. They also offer branding, identity, package design, print design, advertising, video, photography, copywriting, illustration, strategy and consultation, web design, e-commerce development, motion graphics, design for mobile applications, and social media marketing.
Boom. So pretty much anything you're trying to do, you're trying to start a podcast, you're trying to start a small company,
Yeah.
you're trying to get your Instagram followers up, man. Hit them up.
Right, or if you just need something small, maybe you're like, I got everything together, but I just need a logo.
Right.
I just want a nice logo, something professional, or
Yeah.
you want something crazy. I think they got you. But if you can get if you use True Crime Guys code, or if you mention True Crime Guys when you contact them, you get 15% off any one service. You can visit their website at nwpropaganda.com or email them at info@nwpropaganda.com. And that is Propaganda Creative.
Right on. Let's do some shout outs.
All right.
We want to thank everybody that has written iTunes reviews, Stitcher reviews, all that stuff. Or even if you just go and click 5 stars, it helps out a lot. It's one of those. It helps get you on the ranks and the iTunes list and all that stuff. The charts.
Right.
We want to be rising up the chats.
All right, we got a few honorable mentions here on our reviews. Xero Viper? Give us a 5-star review. Thank you. Danny Shea, Hell's Real, Blue Persuasion left another review because she mentioned Oh My Gaia, which is pretty cool. She just got some products from Oh My Gaia, and she's enjoying those, and will never go back, I'm sure. And then also Daddy's Little Girl 66 just started the podcast.
And Miss Stacy on Stitcher actually wrote a review, so we will read your, we'll give you a shout out even if you listen on Stitcher and you want to give us a review on there. Check out all of our social media stuff at True Crime Guys on Twitter, at True Crime Guys on Instagram. We have a Facebook page. We have a closed Facebook group ran by Michelle K, who gave us this suggestion for today's episode.
Right.
She's a true crime fanatic and loves our show enough that she actually helps us in many ways.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, so thanks to Michelle and Kirsten Goldbranson for all the work she's done for us with all the sticker designs, like our stuff over at Redbubble. Some of the designs.
Yes.
Like the I'm a Creeper design with the headphones and the heart.
That's right.
That was done by
the
Kristen.
headshot design, or the point blank headshot design, which is pretty
cool
dope.
ass shirt you just gave away the other week with that logo on it.
I think I'm going to get one of those shirts. I actually don't have a True Crime Guy shirt. I feel like it's kind of.
I do, but I would rather have the headshot one. That one's cool.
I like the headshot one because it's got the desert in the background. Looks cool.
Right.
It's like they shot him and got the blood on.
Yeah, it's kind of a faux pas to wear your own podcast shirt.
I think so, right? Maybe I should just buy other people's podcast shirts.
The concert you're at, wearing the shirt from that
that's
band.
weird.
So
I never do that. Never do that. No. Especially not if it's got the tour dates on the back and you're at that tour. What the fuck?
If it was from 84, sure.
Yeah, if it's like vintage. It's
their first tour ever.
To do, right?
You won't believe it. I'm here now. Look at the date on the back.
Check it out. Oh, totally. Proof.
Anybody else we want to shout out?
I think that's pretty much it, man.
Thanks for all the feedback, for posting pictures of you're listening to the show, sharing it with friends, stuff like that.
Yeah, guys, that helps a lot. Word of mouth, #1 advertisement for sure.
Yep. I guess that's about it.
That is it. Let's put a bow on this shit. Sounds good.
Another free episode in the books, people. Go check out Patreon if you want more. If you're not a Patreon member, if you are.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to talk about Redbubble for a second. You go to redbubble.com/True Crime Guys or search True Crime Guys. When you go to our homepage, click Portfolio, and then you click through the designs. You'll see the designs, and you shop. If you shop that way, it's a little easier to navigate. I know I've had people, message me, and they're like, "Oh, I can't find. Why don't you guys have any mugs? Why don't you have shirts and this? Blah blah blah." Everything is available in all the designs. It's just the website's hard to navigate. If you guys need help, message us. Whatever. We really appreciate that. We appreciate getting the word out. We don't make a whole lot on that merchandise, but it's good for word of mouth. It's good for advertisement, and we appreciate it.
Oh, I know who I needed to shout out. Sticker donors.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys want stickers, we still have we have all 3 designs. Mm-hmm. We still have a few of the Let's Go Do Cult Shit stickers.
Yeah.
They're a little bigger, so I have to send a bigger envelope, but I will do it if you want that. Just send us a request of what you want, and the way to do that is to go to truecrimeguys.com, and at the top you'll see a link that says stickers, or you'll see a tab that says stickers. Click on that. That links you to our PayPal. You just donate a few bucks, and it should come with the address attached. If not, send us a separate email with your address.
Right.
And I will personally mail out stickers to you. I've been doing quite a few lately. So we want to thank everybody that actually donated for stickers. And tell me what design you want. We have the Creep Band sticker, the Let's Go Do Cold Shit, and we have the I'm a Creeper heart with the headphones.
Right. And if you're recently a new $5 or above patron and you're waiting on your gold sticker, it'll be out soon.
Yeah. So I want to thank Jennifer C. Where are you from? Arkansas. Garrett. Stephanie, Molly, Cecilia, everybody that's been donating for stickers, thank you all. Yeah. And like we said, you know how to do that now.
So. Absolutely. Slap them somewhere where people will see them.
Right. And that's it. I think we babbled for long enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
Good Lord.
I'm tired of hearing us.
Sponsors, you must be happy.
You might.
We just love talking about your shit.
Right.
See you guys next week.
All
Keep creeping.
Keep creeping, guys.